Parsippany, New Jersey. Jeez Louise, I know where that is very, very well. Route 46, Route 10, 287. When we moved to Colorado 12 years ago in the Witness Relocation Program, we actually moved from Whippany, New Jersey, which is right next to Parsippany, New Jersey. Okay, folks, we're going to get started right now. My name is Kevin Knebl. Thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your busy day to attend this monthly complimentary webinar that I deliver on once a month. I used to do this many years ago. For a long time I did this, and then I kind of fell out of the habit for many years. And then at the end of 2015, I said to myself, you know what, I should probably do those monthly webinars again because they were fun and they were a way to give back and pay it forward and help people. I actually operate from what I call a pay-it-forward business model, and we're going to get into some of that tonight, what exactly that means and how that's opened up tremendous opportunities for myself and for my clients over the years. So once a month, I do these complimentary webinars. I have many, many hours of content. My longest recorded training program so far is 17 hours in length. So I guess without even having to create any new content whatsoever, I could probably do 17 of these monthly webinars in a row without ever repeating myself once, because I've already recorded over 17 hours worth of training material. The good news is I'm constantly coming up with new material, so I don't have to worry about running out of material. And whenever we do these webinars, once a month, I literally, a few moments before we turn on the webinar, I say to myself, what should I talk about tonight? Now, don't feel like I'm being irresponsible or I'm not putting the time into it. No, if you literally woke me up at 2:30 in the morning and you said, Kevin, I've got 100 people in the living room downstairs, I need you to go do a seminar, I would need about 30 seconds notice, just like you probably would too on your topic that you're an expert at. So what we're going to do here is we're going to cover some LinkedIn information tonight. In reference to what I said a few moments ago about recorded programs, I actually have already recorded over 9 hours, over 10 hours of LinkedIn training. So I could, again, do 10 one-hour webinars in a row without ever duplicating myself. Today we're going to cover something different than we covered last month. So here we go. Now, as I jump into this, if you have questions, thoughts, ideas about anything, please feel free to type them in the chat box, but understand that as I'm conducting this webinar, I'm kind of doing multiple things. I'm doing this, I have one eye on the chat box, and so if I do not answer your question or address whatever it is that you type in there immediately, it's not that I'm ignoring you, I'm just juggling a number of things here. So just bear with me. I will leave a little bit of time at the end for Q&A, and I'll be happy to answer all questions. And just so you know, what we're going to do here is we are going to, I'm going to go through a lot of content, then I'm going to take a pause, I'm going to make you aware of some ways that we could work together potentially if you ever wanted to have a conversation about that. I'm also going to make you aware of some recorded training programs that I have available if you would like to participate in that at a discount, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up the webinar. So here we go. Let's talk today, I want to talk today about LinkedIn's advanced search features. Now, this is a really, really good aspect of using LinkedIn effectively. And I apologize if from time to time I stop to take a sip of my tea. I've been conducting webinars since 4 a.m. this morning. It's now 6 p.m. in Colorado. I've been going for about 14 hours, so I need the tea at this point. So let's talk about this. LinkedIn. What is LinkedIn? Most of you on this webinar probably already know what LinkedIn is, but I'll make it really, really simple for you. LinkedIn is the world's largest electronic Rolodex. Now, if you're like my friend Tashi in Connecticut, you're a young whippersnapper, you're a young chickie babe. I mean that in a complimentary way. I don't mean that in a disparaging way. But you don't remember what a Rolodex is. So back in the old days, we had something called a Rolodex, which is where you would put your business cards and how you would keep track of your contacts and the people in your network. Tashi wouldn't know that because I have cowboy boots older than Tashi. So LinkedIn is a Rolodex, 420 million users, 2 to 5 new users per second. I don't really talk about social media so much. I talk more about social networking. That's not clever semantics. It's not me trying to be clever with words. I literally mean that there is a difference between social media and social networking. And I keep things very, very simple. Media, in my simple brain, God gave me a simple brain. I have a very simple brain. I used to think for many years that that was a liability. I've come to realize that actually a simple brain is actually an asset. And I keep things very, very simple. So media, in my opinion, is usually a one-way monologue. Radio is media, TV is media, billboards, print, those are media. And those are really, literally one-way monologues. Well, people are kind of tired of being talked at, and they want to talk with. That's why I use the word social networking, because networking is always about a conversation. It's always about a relationship, and it's always about a two-way conversation. So everything that I teach, what I refer to as my principles, my strategies, and my routines, all revolve around networking and conversations. And you'll totally get that by the time we're done with this webinar. So I'm going to show you now today, I'm going to show you some ways that you can use one of LinkedIn's most powerful features, which is the LinkedIn Advanced Search feature. So here we are on my homepage on LinkedIn, right? So here we are. And when I go to the right of the search box up here, and I click on this Advanced button, this is going to open what LinkedIn refers to as the Advanced People Search. Now, I call it the Holy Grail, and you're about to see why. But it's the Advanced People Search. So now I can actually search or sort through 420 million LinkedIn users based on any of a number of parameters. So as I do this, what I want you to do is you're sitting back listening to my voice, whether you're sitting in your fuzzy bunny slippers at home or you're sitting in an office or wherever you are, I want you to think in your mind, I want you to let the wheels in your head start spinning, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of examples. And as I do these examples, I want you to think about how you could potentially use this feature of LinkedIn to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish in business. So don't think you have to do it exactly the way I'm showing it. Just think about how you might use it in your own business or your own job or whatever it is you're trying to do. So here's the LinkedIn Advanced People Search. I'm going to use me as an example, and I'm going to say, okay, I am a speaker, coach, trainer, blah, blah, blah. In my world, a lot of the work that I do happens to fall into the financial services industry. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So I work with a lot of financial advisors, insurance professionals, benefits people, business owners, entrepreneurs. Let me show you a couple ways that I could use this tool. So when I go to the Advanced People Search, I say to myself, okay, where would I like to find people? And I'm just going to do this real simply. I live in Colorado. Now, ironically, most of the work that I do, most of the services that I deliver actually are not in the state of Colorado. I never planned it that way, but it's usually someplace else in the world. I'm going to be speaking in London, England in about a week. I'll be speaking in Connecticut a week after that. I just came back from South Carolina and I forget where else, some other places. But I'm going to use this example, and I'm going to use Colorado as an example. So if I go to where it says location right here, I'm going to say I want to go, I can go anywhere in the world. I can go to any country I want to go to, or I can go to any city in North America. So if I click look up and I wanted to find people, let's say in Seattle, or if I wanted to find people in Boston or Toledo, I could just type that word in and it would give me all the zip codes in that geographic area. I'll show you. I hit look up. Let's say I type in Seattle. Once I type in Seattle, and I hit search, LinkedIn pulls up all the Seattle zip codes. So there they are. Well, I don't need to do that because I know the zip code where I live. So that is 80132. That's Monument, Colorado. And I can do a geographic search anywhere from 10 to about 100 miles. I'm going to do, let's just say, a 50-mile search. And if I were to hit search right now, LinkedIn would search 420 million people on LinkedIn worldwide for anybody within 50 miles of this zip code that's on LinkedIn. Okay, so that would be a pretty cool search. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to myself next, well, what kind of people might I be looking for? And a lot of the work I do is with financial advisors, insurance agents, CEOs, entrepreneurs. I'm just going to put CEO in here. So when I type CEO, I could type anything I want here. I could type CEO, I could type HR manager, I could type insurance adjuster, I could type lion tamer, anything I want. And I'm going to say I want to find people that are currently in their LinkedIn profile are the letters CEO in their current job title in some manner. And again, if I hit search, LinkedIn's going to search 420 million people for anybody within 50 miles of that zip code who has CEO in their current job title. But before I hit that, I want to show you some additional filters which could be very, very handy for you. If I click on industry, there's about 100 different industries represented in here. And I could say I just want to find the current CEOs within 50 miles of my house in the accounting industry or the airline or any combination of about 100 different industries. I could slice and dice the database that way. I could say, you know what, I just want to find people that used to work at a particular company. And I can type any company name in there I want. I could say I just want to find the people that went to the same college I went to or any college, and I could type that in there. Or maybe I want to find people that speak some German, some French, and some Italian like I do. And I speak some German, some French, and some Italian because I really like opera. But don't be fooled. I also like Metallica, and I like Tool, and I like, Slayer and all that kind of stuff too. But I could break this down by profile language. If I was like Tashi, I could look for people that speak Russian because she's from Russia originally. I could look for people that have some kind of a philanthropic or charitable interest that might be similar to mine, or I could go over here and I could see, when you see these icons in gold, these are upgrades. These are premium features. One of the most common questions people ask me is, Kevin, should I upgrade to a LinkedIn premium account? Well, I really have a hard time answering that question, and here's why. I know a lot of people who have gym memberships who never go. So the last thing I ever want to see anybody do is waste money or just throw away money. That's not a smart thing. So my answer to people, although this might sound like I'm trying to be a little bit of a wise guy, I'm really not trying to be a wise guy. When somebody says to me, Kevin, should I upgrade to a LinkedIn premium account for 50 or 60 bucks a month? My answer is, if you're going to use it. Now, they often look at me like, well, duh. And I say, well, it's not really duh, because you're probably paying for something right now that you're not using either. So if you're going to use a LinkedIn premium account for all the additional features that LinkedIn will turn on, I am a huge believer that it is absolutely worth every penny of it, as long as you use it. So these features right here, these are premium features. But the features I showed you over here were pretty strong and pretty robust to begin with. But if I go over here and I say, I want to find CEOs that are not only CEO in title, maybe they're also CEO in ownership or partnership, okay? Or maybe I have a reason based on my profession or whatever. Maybe I'm interested in people that work at companies with, let's say, 50 to 500 employees. So I can break this down by employee size. So when I say that LinkedIn is a database, I'm actually being more literal than you even realize I am. Even if you're taking me quite literally, I am being completely literal. LinkedIn is a monstrously large database of 420 million people with all kinds of information on those people's LinkedIn profiles / resumes that I could slice and dice through all that data to find the people that I want to find. So you get the idea. So I'm going to hit search now. So once I hit search, LinkedIn's going to search 420 million people to find anybody within 50 miles of my home who have CEO in their current job title. So let's see what happens. I have no idea what's going to happen. Now, I live about 50 miles south of Denver, so I live in a little town. It's really actually a pretty small town, but I do live within 50 miles of Denver, and I also live within 20 miles of Colorado Springs to the south. So I've got 12,685 people who have CEO in their current job title. Okay, that's a lot of people. So let's take this down from 50 miles down to 25 miles, and let's rerun that search. At 25 miles, I still have over almost 3,000 people. That's a lot of people. Let's take it down to 10 miles. At 10 miles, I have 311 people who are self-identified CEOs within 10 miles of my home. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean that all of these people are great prospects for whatever it is that I'm doing or selling or whatever business that I'm trying to expand or whatever, but at least I know that I'm going in the correct direction. At least I know if I'm looking for CEOs, I'm going in the right direction. I've got 311 of them here. Now, let me just pause for a moment and just point out something quite obvious that most people miss. This is insane. Because if you're old enough like I am to remember a world, you know when you watch the movie trailers, in a world, before Al Gore invented the internet. If you remember before Al Gore invented the internet, we couldn't have dreamt of a tool like this. Kevin, you're telling me I can find people based on zip code, industry, job type? Oh, I haven't even gotten started yet, folks. We haven't even scratched the tip of the iceberg yet. But already, if you understand what I'm showing you, this is pretty mind-boggling. You know, I mean, when I show this to people that are like 30 and younger, they're like, yeah, come on, Kevin, move it along. I get it. I show this to people that are 31 and over. They're like, holy cow, man, I was still playing with a G.I. Joe with a Kung Fu grip and a Stretch Armstrong. I couldn't imagine tools like this. If you don't know what those things are, don't worry about it. You're too young, okay? So I've got 311 people here. Now, this is really where I want to go now with this webinar. I really want to show you what I would call maybe some advanced strategies, which really aren't all that advanced anyway. They're pretty simple, but you know, I got to make it sound really impressive by using the word advanced. When I first got into sales back in 1992, I started to figure out pretty quickly, based on a book that I read called How to Win Friends and Influence People, written by a guy named Dale Carnegie back in the 1930s, I started to figure out very quickly that success long-term in business, certainly in sales, but long-term in business, really comes down to the ability to create, nurture, and deepen relationships. Now, if at any point in the remainder of this webinar you feel like I'm putting on my motivational speaker hat, I'm not. I'm not here to rally the troops. I'm not here to motivate you. But I am a pretty positive person by nature, and I've come to realize that actually, in addition to that just being a nice way to live, man, oh man, is it profitable. But I started figuring out years ago that when I want to create a relationship with somebody, or at least create a conversation with somebody, the easiest way in the world to start a conversation with another human being is to find something that you have in common with them. Now, some of the things that I'm going to say here tonight, or maybe that I've said already, may seem ridiculously obvious to you. I can assure you they're not. They are not. Things that are simple to do are also simple not to do. So I never really teach anything all that complex. I don't need to. Most people really make things far more complicated than they need to. I keep things simple. I'm not dumbing them down. I don't believe in dumbing things down. But I do believe in reducing things to their simplest parts, because when you understand the simplest component parts of something, you have a deeper fundamental understanding or grounding in how something works. I have business people, salespeople, CEOs, financial advisors, insurance executives, lion tamers, whatever. I have people that call me and email me every single day. And they say all kinds of different things. But because God gave me a simple brain, I hear one consistent theme over and over. When people call me or email me and say, Kevin, I need more clients, I need more referrals, I need more meetings, I need more appointments, I need more income, I need more revenue, whatever it is. Because I have a simple brain, what I hear in all of that is I just hear, Kevin, I need more conversations with more people. Now, that might sound a little odd, but it's not. I can assure you, if you are listening to my voice right now, which, yes, you are, I can assure you, you have never secured a job, you have never brought on a client, you have never sold a product or service, you've certainly never gone on a date, you have never done any of these things without a conversation taking place first. Now, again, that might sound ridiculously simple, but I'm going somewhere with this. Most people would have more business, more clients, more jobs, or at least the ideal job or whatever, if they just had more conversations in their life. Now, ideally, if the conversations were with the right people, that would be even better, wouldn't it? Well, if you understand what I'm showing you, I've already shown you in the first 15 minutes of this webinar. I've already shown you how to find the right people almost down to eye color. I'm looking for CEOs within 50 miles of my house. I could put in a particular industry if I wanted to put it in, like I showed you earlier. I could break this down by industry. I could break it down by company they used to work at. I could break it down by college they went to, whether or not they speak Portuguese. I've already shown you that. And we're only 15 minutes in. We're 24 minutes in now, but in the first 15 minutes, I showed you how to do that. You could have turned the webinar off right there, okay? So here, I found 311 CEOs within 10 miles of my house. Well, the question then becomes, how do I open conversations with them? Well, this is so simple. I ask myself a very simple question. What do I like to do for fun when I'm not working? Now, for me, what I like to do for fun when I'm not working is I like to ski, I like to golf, I like to chase my wife around the house, I like to play with my kids, I like to travel, I like to drink wine, I like to do gourmet cooking, I like movies, I like concerts. Well, let's keep this simple. What if I were to put the word golf in keywords? When I put the word golf in there and I hit search, LinkedIn is now going to search these 311 people for anybody that has the word golf in their LinkedIn profile. So I have no idea what's going to come up. Let's find out. I've got 9. I've got 9 people who are self-identified CEOs within 10 miles of my house who have the word golf somewhere in their profile. Again, let me point out, this is insane. We could not have dreamt of a tool like this 10, 20, 30 years ago at all. It would have been impossible to even fantasize about this kind of a tool. And here it is, right at our fingertips. And by the way, it's free. Now, I'm originally from New Jersey. You know, I moved to Colorado 12 years ago in the Witness Relocation Program, and I can tell you that free is one of my top 2 or 3 words. That's 4 letters that starts with F. You know, it's one of my favorite words since I originally come from Jersey. Free ain't bad. So now I've got these 9 people. Well, watch what I'm about to do next. I go up here to the right where it says Save Search, and I'm going to call this 10 Mile 80132 Golfing CEOs. Or I can call it whatever I want to call it. Now, I'm going to say what I'm about to say for about the next 5 minutes. I'm going to say this very slowly. I'm not saying it slowly because you are not smart people. You are very smart people. Getting on this webinar was an IQ test. You passed, okay? When somebody who speaks all around the world that gets paid $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 to talk for an hour or two says they're going to do a free webinar, and you say, yeah, I think I'll participate in that. I'm not trying to sound cocky or arrogant, but you're pretty smart, okay? So you got on this webinar. That was a sign of intelligence. I'm going to show you what I'm about to show you very slowly because I really want you to hear this. Because if you really hear this, this might change your life. Kevin, might change my life. That's a pretty bold statement. I wonder if you could back that up, Kevin. Oh, I can back it up all day, every day, and twice on Tuesday. So here, what I've done is I've set up a 10-mile search of my house for anybody on LinkedIn today or at any time in the future that fits whatever search parameter I have on the left-hand side of the screen here. 10 miles of 80132 with the current CEO with golf in their profile. Now, what that means is, whether it's a week from now, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 5 years from now, it doesn't matter to me, LinkedIn is going to be searching 24/7, 365 until the end of time or until I die or until I change the search parameter. LinkedIn is now going to be searching for anybody on LinkedIn who fits that search parameter that I just set up. So I've effectively turned LinkedIn into a 24/7, 365 lead generation machine that is working for me when I'm sleeping or skiing or whatever. So let's say it's a week from now or 6 months from now, it doesn't matter. And Mary Jones, who has CEO in her current job title and who has the word golf somewhere in her LinkedIn profile, moves into Colorado Springs. Or Bill Smith moves into Palmer Lake. So these are places that are close to where I live. I'm probably not going to know that because I'm certainly not sitting around 24/7, 365 looking at LinkedIn. That would be torture. I can think of a lot more fun things I would do than sit around staring at a computer at LinkedIn all day long. But LinkedIn being the tool that it is, it will see that Mary Jones moved into Colorado Springs or Bill Smith moved into Palmer Lake. And it will say, wait a minute, that Kevin Knebl guy, the guy with the tall guy with the big nose and the receding hairline, he is looking for people that within 10 miles of this zip code who have CEO in their current job title and the word golf in their LinkedIn profile. And it will take Mary Jones. It will not notify Mary Jones, but it will put Mary Jones into my saved search. And then LinkedIn will send me an email saying, Kevin, we found another person that fit your search parameter. Please click here to see who that person is. Now, did you hear what I just said there? If you really absorbed what I just said, type in the chat box, type in something like, yes, yeah, baby, wicked cool, awesome, whatever you want to type in there. Sandy says, got it. Adam says, got it. Yep, got it. Wow, wicked cool, sweet, fabulous. Kevin, you're handsome. I just made that one up. Nobody typed that one in. Holy shamoly, got it, yo, yes, you betcha. Okay, so you guys got it. This is crazy powerful because this is not the only on the premium feature list. This is for everybody, okay? Diggity, bomb diggity baby. Wow, that sounds like a guy that lives in Florida wrote that one, Shay. So now LinkedIn is looking for my prospects 24/7, 365 and serving them to me on a platter without the prospects ever even knowing that they've fit my search parameter. Let me give you an example. When I stand on stage and I do this wherever I am in the world, I usually pick somebody out of the audience and I say, have we ever met before? And they say, no, we haven't. And I say, great. What kind of people are you looking for in your line of work? And they tell me, and I set up some kind of a saved search, and I do it. And then usually when I get off the stage, I hit the X button, and I make it go away. Can you see this one here? I set up this saved search on April 2nd, 2015. I just forgot to hit the X button, okay? So here, I don't remember where I was, but whoever I picked in the audience told me they were looking for anybody within 50 miles of that zip code in hospital or medical HR. So when I ran this search back on April 2nd, 2015, it pulled up the search, so there was a little dash next to it on April 2nd, 2015, because all the people were already on the page behind it. But if you get what I'm showing you, we're now at the last day of February 2016. We're less than 12 months after this, but notice this number. If I were to click on this 24 right now, it would pull up the 24 people that didn't fit this search parameter on April 2nd, 2015, but sometime between April 2nd, 2015 and now, they do fit the search parameter. That's why they're showing up here. Are you getting what I'm showing you? I'm showing you that this is proof of exactly what I'm telling you. Just in this one search alone, I'm averaging over 2 people a month. This is 24 people in less than 12 months. So we're averaging out to over 2 people a month. LinkedIn is finding me that fit whatever search parameter I set up. I think you guys probably get what I'm saying, right? Okay. So next I'm going to show you what we do next on how do we open conversations with these people. Because the most important thing, in my opinion, is actually not, hang on a second, it's actually not, I mean, yes, it's great that we can find the people. But if I can be really frank with you, just because you can find the people, it's handy, but where the rubber meets the road is how do we open conversations with people in a way, in a world, in a way where they don't slam the door in your face. Well, I don't know if you know this or not. A lot of people do, because a lot of people have heard me on television and on radio and then read my book and stuff like that. But prior to becoming an international speaker and all the stuff I do now, I was very blessed to be the top salesperson in the world for 4 separate companies, including being the top salesperson in the world for an international consulting company in 15 countries. I'm not saying that to brag or to say that I could sell ice cream to Eskimos. The only reason I'm saying that is to kind of let you know that I've got some fruit on my tree. I kind of have some proof that I kind of know a little bit about sales, okay? It ain't my first rodeo. Well, if you're good at sales, you're probably good at conversations with people. Actually, if you want to become really good at sales, there's really only 3 things you need, okay? Maybe I'll do a webinar on this sometime in the future. I'm assuming you already know your product or service. So I'm just taking that one as a given. I'm assuming that you already are good at your product or service. I can't help you with that, right? You're on your own on that one. Go learn your product or service, okay? But assuming that you're good at you know your product or service, there's really only 3 things, in my opinion, that you need to know and understand to be absolutely one of the best people in the world at what you do. Here's the 3 things. Number 1, you need a strong work ethic. If you're lazy, I can't help you. If you're looking to win the lottery or have somebody get elected president and give you everything for free, I'm not your guy, okay? Whoops, did I say that out loud? So, you know, if you're a lazy person, no amount of help is going to help you because you're fundamentally cutting your own throat because you don't understand that you got to get up early, you got to work your butt off, you got to go to bed tired, okay? But that's not a problem. That's easy, okay? The second thing you need to know is you need to know how to ask intelligent questions. Now, that might sound obvious. I can assure you it's not. When you know how to ask intelligent questions that cause other people to open up, and I don't mean in an interrogation kind of way, but when you ask intelligent questions that cause people to think and talk, you're way ahead of almost everybody else that's in your industry. And number 3, you have to know how to shut up. Well, a little bit more polite way to say that would be you have to learn how to listen. Most people don't listen. Most people just wait for their turn to talk. Most people, when the other person is talking, they're not even hearing what the other person's saying. They're formulating what they're going to say next. And a lot of time they're thinking things like, I have to think of something clever to say next so that they don't think I'm stupid or they think I'm smart. I don't care if people think I'm stupid. I actually like it when people think I'm stupid. I am like, you know who I really study? I study Columbo. Now, if you're of a certain age on this webinar and if you're young, you probably don't know who Columbo is. Go on YouTube, type in Columbo, watch some clips. Columbo was a genius because Columbo assumed nothing. I assume nothing. As a sales professional, I know what assume stands for, A-S-S-U-M-E. Assume makes an ass out of you and me. If that's a little too blunt for you, I apologize, but you know, you got to have a little bit of a thin skin if you're going to be in business, okay? I'm sorry, a little bit of a thick skin if you're going to be in business. So Columbo is like my ultimate role model. I love Columbo, okay? So now I've got these people, and as long as you have a good work ethic, you ask them smart questions, and you shut up long enough and listen to what people say, you can be the top in the world at whatever it is you want to be the top at. Because that, even though that might sound extremely obvious, most people don't have those 3 skills. They have those 3 traits. They might have 1 of them. They might have 2 of them. But it's actually the very, very rare individual that has all 3. Okay? So, hang on one second, folks. Okay. So, now that I've got these 9 people, watch what I'm about to do next. I can see Ron Mast. I don't know who Ron Mast is. I have no clue who this guy is. I can see Matt Ehlers. I can see Mickey O'Neill. I can see Shannon. Notice underneath Ron, it says that I have 111 shared connections with him. Notice under Matthew, it says I have 24 shared connections under him. Under Mickey, 63. So let's use Ron as an example. I'm going to click on Ron, and I'm going to open his profile. Now, if this is all new to you and you're kind of thinking like, well, you know, are we violating somebody's privacy? Or no, I'm looking at exactly what Mr. Mast wants me to see. And that's why he put it on his LinkedIn profile. So get very comfortable with the fact that you're not stalking, you're not violating people's privacy. If he put it on his LinkedIn profile, I've got to assume he wants me to see it. Okay? So now all I'm doing is I'm just checking them out. I'm just prospecting, right? I'm checking to see if this guy looks like a good prospect for me based on any of the parameters that are in my head as to what a good prospect is. So I look at his picture, I click contact info. I could go read his Twitter account. If I were to follow you around for a week, this is going to be a creepy example, but you get where I'm going. If I were to follow you around for a week and I were to listen to everything that came out of your mouth, do you think after a week I would get a little bit of insight into what makes you tick as a human being? If you would agree with that, type yes in the chat box. Okay? Now again, I'm not stalking. I am actually observing a person's social footprint. If we ever work together, you're going to hear me use that term, social footprint, a lot. Because you and I are both leaving trails of breadcrumbs whether we know it or not. If I took this guy's name, and I've never done this before with this guy, so I have no idea what I'm going to find. If I took this guy's name and I went over to this thing called Facebook, they have this new thing called Facebook. It's going to be big. I hear it's going to be really big. And I type in Ron Mast, and I hit search, I have a feeling that this guy here, and again, I've never done this guy as an example, I have a feeling that this guy here is this guy here. Broker owner at Real Help Real Estate. I go back here. What is this? Broker owner, I think I found him. What did that take me? 0.001 seconds. Okay? And if I were to look at his Facebook account, again, I'm not stalking. I'm looking at what he's choosing to put on the world's largest electronic bathroom wall known as the Internet. I can look at this and I can get a very deep understanding of what makes this man tick as a human being. I can go to Twitter. I can go type into Twitter, Ron Mast. Let's see if he's on Twitter. I type Ron Mast into Twitter. When this opens up, I click on people or accounts. It's going to pull up accounts of anybody named Ron Mast. I have a feeling I'm probably going to find this guy, and I bet you I would if I took the time to find him. I already know he's on Twitter because when we look at his LinkedIn account, there it is, right? So it's just a matter of finding him. So when I say if I were to follow you around for a week, if I were to look at your social footprint, what you have on LinkedIn, what you have going on Facebook, what you have going on Twitter, I'm not suggesting that I'm going to be able to, be some kind of mind reader and understand everything about you, but I'm going to have a pretty good insight into what makes you tick as a person. And from a sales perspective, that's gold, okay? So I can look at this guy's profile. I can see how long he's owned this company for 13 years. I could see what he did before that for 16 years. I can see what he did before that. I can see all of this information. I can see organizations that he believes in. I can see that he's concerned about human rights and kids. He's involved with Young Life, Compassion International. I can see here when he went to school, what he studied, what frat he was in. I can see here that he went to this really fancy, snooty private school. I can see here that he's into travel, boating, skiing, the Denver Broncos, and golf. If I was sitting next to this guy in an airport bar, we'd be new best friends. I can see he's practically begging me to email him and call him, okay? So I can see all this information. It's right at my fingertips. Professionals do what amateurs don't. That's why professionals live like amateurs won't. I am doing my homework. You know what amateurs do? They wing it. And that's why they live like amateurs, and that's why they vote for people that will offer to give them everything for free, okay? So here, what I'm doing is I can see that, okay, this guy looks like somebody that I might be interested in having as a client. But when I go down to his connections, I can actually see that we know 111 people in common. And it's showing me. So then I make a judgment call. I ask myself, would I like to approach this guy directly? And I may or may not want to do that. Or would I like to approach him through a mutual friend? Now, we don't have enough time in this webinar tonight to get into all the nuances of that. So let's just say I want to go through a mutual friend. Maybe I think that I'm going to have a better likelihood of opening a conversation with him if I went through a mutual friend. So I'm going to look through the people that we know in common, and I'm going to find one or two of these people that I know really well. Because if I know them really well, they'll probably be more inclined to forward a message from me to him, right? So when I find somebody that I know really well, like Lori Thompson, great lady, right? Or Kelly Mirabella, great friend of mine, all I have to do is I just click on Lori. What's this guy's name again? Ron Mast. I click on Lori, and I do this. I send a message to Lori that might say something like this. Now, listen closely to what I'm about to say. You probably don't talk like I do, because we all have our own speech patterns in the way that we talk. I'm a little bit weird. Actually, in full disclosure, I'm a lot weird. But I tend to just talk. I talk the same way to the janitor in the airport when I'm waiting to catch a plane as I talk to the CEO of a Fortune 20 company. I see no difference. I try to look at people the same way God looks at people. Now, you might be saying, Kevin, you can't use the G word in business. I just did. Get over it, okay? It's my webinar. I'm going to say whatever the heck I want. When you get your own webinar, you say what you want, okay? So I talk to people the way I want to talk to people. And if they get offended by that, I guess that's God's way of letting me know that I shouldn't work with them, okay? If that's too rough for you, jump off the webinar, okay? So here, listen to what I'm about to say and just convert it in your mind to however you would talk, okay? I want you to relax, though, and I want you to listen to what I'm about to say the way you would listen to a piece of music. When you put on the Beatles or Mozart, you're not putting on the Beatles and Mozart to listen for wrong notes or to deconstruct the chord structure. You're putting it on for the feeling and the experience that it gives you. So listen to what I'm about to say, and let me whet your appetite, because after many years of doing this, I track my results, and I know that I have an 87% response rate on this message. 87% of the people that I send this message, either through a Lori Thompson or through a mutual friend, or I send it directly, it really doesn't matter. 87% of the people that I send this message to are going to respond to me, and that's all I want. My only goal is to initiate a conversation, because if I can initiate a conversation, and I can use intelligent questions, and I can have good listening skills, I can nurture that conversation into a relationship. And if we should do business in some way, at some point that will become self-evident, but I don't rush it. What most people do is they're moving way too fast. If we were to ever work together, either in a coaching relationship or in any other type of relationship, one of the things you would learn about me is that I can be absolutely ruthless in slowing things down. And at first, most people, because we live in a Mach 5 with our receding hairline on fire society, for most people, it's a little bit disconcerting at first. They're like, well, you know, I'm Kevin, I'm trying to get more clients tomorrow. And I know. But you're not going to get them the way you're trying to get them. If you were, you wouldn't be calling me and asking me to help you. The irony is actually, when we slow down a little bit, we're going to end up going so much faster in the long run. But it takes a little bit of faith to buy into that. My business is 99% by invitation and referral only. I don't do any traditional marketing or advertising. I'm not saying that to be cocky, but one of the reasons why I can't keep up with the requests to work with individuals and organizations is because I slow down. And actually, most people could use a little bit of slowing down, because they're all stressed out and they're whacked out of their mind, and they're going their mind. They don't know how to, control any of that, and they feel like they're living in this high stress environment, which is actually another conversation for another time. Because outside of all the work that I do in social media and social selling and relationship marketing, I do also a lot of coaching around helping people get clarity of mind, get a lot more effective in their life, have a deeper experience of joy and enthusiasm about life. And I'm not talking about positive psychology. I'm not talking about personal development or self-help at all. I'm talking about a fundamentally different thing. But that's another conversation for another time. Most people need to slow down. What if I were to type something like this? Hey, Lori, happy last day of February. Hope you're enjoying it. We're not going to get another February 29th for 4 years. Would you be so kind as to forward this message on to Ron? Thanks a lot. Let's grab coffee sometime before too long. And then I skip a space or two, and she can see what I'm typing. She's not forwarding a blind message. And I say something like this. Hi, Ron. I was cruising around LinkedIn. I came across your profile. I'm all about paying it forward, and I'd love to prove it to you. I'm connected to many people here on LinkedIn and also many people in the greater Colorado Springs area. Perhaps I'm connected to some individuals and organizations that could be beneficial to you in your current role as CEO of Real Help Real Estate. If I could ever open those doors or make those introductions on your behalf, I'd be happy to do so. If you'd ever like to grab a cup of coffee or a phone conversation, that would be fun too. And I couldn't help but notice that you're a golfer like I am. I'm always looking for a reason to get out of the office on a weekday. So if you're looking for a fourth person for a foursome, I'm your guy, and I'll even pick up the first round of drinks at the 19th hole. I also noticed you're a skier and you're a Broncos lover. Amen, brother. Preach it. Anyway, hope you're having a great end to your February. Let me know if I could ever help. Rock on, Kev. Now, I'm going to ask all of you listening to me right now. I'm going to ask you a simple question. I do not want you to overthink the answer. I either want you to type yes or I want you to type no in the chat box. If you were Ron and you just received that message that I just sent through Lori and Lori forwarded that one to Ron, I just want you to either type yes or no in the chat box. Would you respond to me? And I'm seeing yes, 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 yes. I haven't seen one no yet. And if you want to type no, that's okay. I'm not going to put you down if you do that. I see a probably, I see an of course, I see a yes. Now, again, this is a quick webinar. We only have 10 minutes left. If we were to ever work together, you would get a much deeper understanding of really what I'm doing here at a psychological level. And it's not that I'm Sigmund Freud, but all I'm doing is I'm filtering. I'm going to ask you a very, very blunt question, okay? If Ron doesn't respond to this message, that doesn't make him a bad person, it doesn't make him an idiot or anything like that, but if he doesn't even respond to this polite, kind message where I'm potentially offering to refer business to him, I'm not promising anything, I'm not claiming to be Mother Teresa or Gandhi. If he won't even respond to this, what do you think the likelihood is that he's going to respond to some thinly veiled or not so thinly veiled sales pitch? I'll answer my own question. He ain't gonna. He's not going to, okay? Because if he's not even willing to respond to this, I'm basically finding out that he's so close-minded that he could see through a keyhole with both eyes at the same time, okay? So again, I'm not trying to take a moral high ground and say that I'm a better person than him, but I'm just using human nature. I figured out many years ago that if I want to get somebody's attention, there's a couple ways I could do it, but the first two don't work so well. If I want to get your attention, I could threaten your family. I'll get your attention, but the likelihood of you wanting to do business with me is probably pretty slim. So that one doesn't work so good, okay? But I am from Jersey, so that's where my mind goes initially. The second way that I could probably get your attention is if I were to show up at your office with a bag full of $20 bills. But I'm probably not going to do that. It's probably not going to happen. So I figured out eventually that the third way of trying to get somebody's attention works really, really well. And the third way is very simple. But you have to come from a pay-it-forward mentality to do this. If I were to offer you something that you would see benefit in, not a thinly veiled or not so thinly veiled sales pitch, if I were to offer you something that you would see value in with no strings attached, and if I were to offer it through a mutual friend, I'm probably going to get your attention. If I don't, I just highly doubt that anything else that I would do would really get your attention. Now, again, this may or may not be your style, and if it's not, that's fine. But man, has this style put millions of dollars through my business and millions of dollars through my clients' businesses. So it's not rocket science. Even a guy like I could do this. It's pretty simple. Now, the worst thing in the world that I could do would be if he were to respond with anything, Hey, Kev, nice to meet you. Any friend of Lori's is a friend of mine. Anything he says in response. The worst thing in the world I could ever do would be to respond to him with something like, hey, it's really nice to meet you too, Ron. By the way, you look like a really good prospect for my product or service. Can I sell you something? Now, you're probably sitting on your end of the phone right now chuckling, saying, this guy Knebl's an idiot. No, not really, because I would never respond that way. I can tell you, after coaching countless financial advisors, CEOs, insurance professionals, entrepreneurs, I can absolutely assure you that that level of sophistication of responding, of, hey, I met you, could I sell you something? That is the extent of many people's networking expertise. That's it. So here's my point. It doesn't matter how thick the phone book is if your phone skills suck. I'll say it a little nicer. I'll say it like it says in the old King James Version. It doesn't matter how thick the phone book is if your phone skills sucketh. Now, I'm just having some fun with you. But if you don't have good conversation skills, it doesn't matter if you're on an iPhone or a flip phone from the 90s. If you don't have good conversation skills, it doesn't matter if you're on a landline or 2 cans in a string. If you don't have good conversation skills, it doesn't matter if you're on a computer or if you're on a legal pad with a pen. So I'm really not talking about LinkedIn so much right now. Yes, LinkedIn is a great tool to help you find the individuals and organizations you want to do business with. But if there was nothing else that you were going to take away from this webinar tonight, the number one thing that I would want you to think about is not LinkedIn. It's actually your conversation skills. Your success in using social media for whatever purposes you're trying to use it, your success is not going to come down to your social media skills. Your success is going to come down to your ability to create conversations. There are no exceptions. You might be on Match.com or Tinder or Over 50 or whatever, Farmers Only or whatever these websites are nowadays where you're looking for your perfect mate. And they may look beautiful. The package may look great. They may look, oh my God, they're my dream man or woman. But if you get together with them and talking to them is like talking to, chalk on a fingernails on a chalkboard. Those good looks are going to wear off pretty fast, okay? Because you're going to start to figure out that there's nothing behind the persona. There's nothing. The emperor has no clothes, okay? So it's always going to come back to the conversation skills every single time. That's why I referenced How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So if I go back here and wrapping this up because we only have a few minutes left, it would be as easy as falling off a log to open conversations with any one of these people based on common interests like golf or whatever. This was not designed, this webinar tonight was not designed to be, a 17-hour in-depth tutorial on every nuance of understanding my principles, my strategies, and my routines. So let me give you a 60-second recap. They have this thing called LinkedIn. It's going to be big. You go on LinkedIn, you click on the Advanced button. It pulls up the LinkedIn Advanced People Search, which I refer to as the Holy Grail. You put in your search parameters, industry, company, job title, where in the country they are, blah, 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 blah. You find the people. Once you find the people, you do a save search. You pull up the search. There's your people. There's your 9 people. And now you open up non-salesy conversations with these people, and then you nurture the conversation over time. You may be thinking, but Kevin, when do I talk about business? When it's the right time to talk about business. This isn't complicated. If you're married, when did you know it was the right time to kiss your spouse when you were dating? I don't know. You just knew. You just knew. You didn't overthink it. Right? Again, I'm saying this very glibly, but you'll know when the time is right. And if you're really nurturing the relationship, they'll ask you, tell me more. What is it about? What do you do? And that's a natural way. Don't get too excited. Don't jump on them like a pit bull on a mailman, okay? But just be cool. Be cool. Be like a duck, On top of the water, you're smooth. Underneath, you're paddling like a banshee. Now, let me just wrap this up and make you aware of a couple things. Let's go to KevinKnebl.com. There's this guy named Kevin Knebl. He's kind of goofy, but he has a good heart, okay? Wow, look at my screen. It's freaking out. The heck was that? So when we go to KevinKnebl.com, if you ever go to my website, make sure that you sign up for my free newsletter. I have a newsletter that comes out every Tuesday, okay? That's tomorrow. And you can subscribe to my newsletter here. There's all kinds of tips. If you've missed newsletters in the past, go to my newsletter archive, click on it. There's tons and tons of stuff in there that will help you. If you go to my products and coaching, I have 2 products currently. There's more in the pipeline, but there's 2 currently. I have a 4-hour LinkedIn and Twitter training course that you can watch over and over and over until the end of time because it's streaming video. There's no expiration date. You can watch it forever, and I update the videos every 6 months to reflect the newest features and functions. This 4-hour training program on my website is $197. To be quite frank, it's the same exact 4-hour program that I'm going to be delivering in London, England in less than 10 days, and they're paying me $20,000 to deliver it. Now, I'm not saying that to brag. This is basically an IQ test. Kevin, you're telling me that I can either pay you $20,000 and fly you to London to teach this to me, or I can pay you $197 for it and I can watch it 100 times over and over. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, okay? Or I also have a 17-hour course. It's everything that's in the 4-hour course plus 13 additional hours. Got an hour on social selling and relationship marketing, 9 hours on LinkedIn, 4 hours on Twitter, 3 hours on my high-tech, high-touch relationship marketing system for $997. That is what we refer to in New Jersey as a steal, okay? That is a bargain. But I'm going to make it even better for you. Now, don't tell anybody that I'm doing this. There is a hidden page on my website. If you ever go to KevinKnebl.com and you type in these words, special offer, when you type in Kevin Knebl/special offer, it takes that 4-hour course from $197 to $147. And it takes that 17-hour course from $997 to $497. That's a 50% discount. That's my gift to you for being on this webinar. I am giving you access to my reduced pricing that I typically give to friends and family. Okay, so it's KevinKnebl.com/special offer. Don't go sharing that with the public. That's for you because you were on this webinar. I wouldn't sit around and think about this too long. I would do it, okay? Because this is, in my opinion, the best course you're ever going to get on how to use this. Well, Kevin, you're biased. Well, I am biased, but I'm also the only person in the world who's been the top salesperson for not one company, but 4, who's teaching this stuff, and he's opened up millions and millions of dollars in revenue for my clients and for myself. So I've got the fruit on my tree. And I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm just saying that this is not theoretical mumbo jumbo. This works when you work it. So when you click Add to Cart and you process the credit card, the system is going to immediately email you your login and password. If you can't find it, it's probably in your spam folder. So keep an eye on your spam folder, okay? So if these interest you, great. If they don't interest you, thank you for being on the webinar. The last thing I'm going to tell you is I do some coaching. But because of my travel schedule, I can't do a tremendous amount of coaching because I'm on the road too much. If you ever want to talk to me about what it looks like to work with me one-on-one in this social selling and relationship marketing coaching, shoot me an email right there and just say, Kevin, I'd like to have a conversation with you about what that looks like, okay? And I'll be happy to discuss that with you. If you ever want to talk to me about my inner clarity and outer success coaching, which really has nothing to do with social media, but a lot more about success in both internally and externally, and achieving while at the same time increasing your and deepening your enjoyment and satisfaction in life, well, then just shoot me an email on that one too. Say, Kevin, I'd like to have a conversation about what does that look like. If none of that interests you, I just thank you for being on the webinar. I hope you got some nuggets. I hope you got some things you could take away and you can use in your business to help you succeed more in life, okay? So I'm now going to open it up to Q&A. I'm not going to open the phone lines because I can't, but if you have any questions that I've not already addressed, please type them in the chat box. If you need to jump off the call, jump off the call. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your interest. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. If I can ever help you in any way, I'm a phone call or an email away. I give you my word that I'll respond to you. Please feel free to reach out to me by phone or email. If you have any questions, type them in the chat box now before I wrap up this webinar. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. A lot of people are typing very kind words. Thank you for being generous. You the man. Thank you for all this information. I'm excited to get started. Thank you, thank you, thank you, folks. You're very, very kind. I appreciate your kind words. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you. I always enjoy the programs you present. Thank you, Sandy. 10Q, not quite sure what that means. Your training and principles were crucial in making my career in Colorado Springs a success. Please feel free to use me as a testimonial. Well, thank you, Adam. That's kind of you to say that. If you want to go on my LinkedIn profile and you want to write me a recommendation, Adam, please feel free to do that. If you need assistance with that, I'll be happy to help you. Thank you, Kevin. You're generous beyond words. I appreciate you saying that, Cheryl. I don't know that I'm that generous, but I'm kind of generous. Thank you. Jonathan Christian, I didn't know you were in the house up there in Vancouver. Brilliant as always. Was driving to my own speaking gig in Victoria. Have a great engagement, Jonathan. I love you, brother. Shouldn't we just automatically connect with someone? We should email them a request. So we shouldn't just automatically connect with someone. We should email them a requested intro. Hillary, I think I understand what you're asking me, but I did not connect with that guy. I sent a message to that guy. Connecting with him is a different animal. If you want me to go deeper into that, email me or call me, and I'll answer that in more detail for you, okay? Bless you, bro. Thank you so much for this information. It's going to help me a lot. I really enjoy listening to you. Well, thank you, Sally Joe. That's very kind of you. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off the call. If you need to get me for any reason, I'm a phone call or an email away. Please feel free to reach out to me. I give you my word that I'll help you. Shoot me an email. Give me a phone call. God bless. Have a great night. Go Broncos. Love you. Take care.